never form an opinion about spirituality and life. As the Master says, be open. You may not agree with somebody's perspective, so we never, as I say, form an opinion. We have an opinion, but we never form an opinion. It's like chiseling something in stone. So always stay open. And one of the biggest problems we have, we say, is the ego, the mind. But the ego is not a problem. The mind is not a problem. The biggest problem is the Creator always gives us what we want. But above that, the Creator always gives us what is best for us. But when you bring everything down to Pind Kali Yuga, the Iron Age, this is where we have to work from. As Babaji said in his last couple of Q&As, whilst we're in the realm of mind and Maya, everything is a concept. You take a Shabad, it's a concept. All the saints' teachings are a concept. Great Master tells us, doesn't it? The saint, the mystic cannot tell us what is going on from his end. They need a different language. So that is the biggest problem. He always gives us what he wants. It's like Babaji says, if you've got a child in the house and you keep giving into him, you give him what he wants, you create a monster. And this is what we've done. Their experience is not our experience. And this is how we should look at spirituality. Spirituality is free from everything. There's no dogmas, ceremonies, rituals, pilgrimages. That is a religion. Free from everything. That's why it says, clear the mind. Less information, more transformation. But we're stuck in the past. Everybody goes to their lineage, their cultural beliefs, their religion. That it's like this and it's like that. It should be like this, it should be like that. The present Master comes along, he said it's nothing like that. He tells us at the Dera, whatever you've read, whatever you've heard about spirituality, it's nothing like that at all. It's all concepts. So you may say our biggest dilemma is the ego. The ego, of course, is troublesome. But let's just start. So the ego manufactures its own existence from the illusion. Now we don't want to go into the illusion because we're talking of an energy field, very subtle, delicate, which this body and your body is made up of. We're going into physics, quantum theory and so on, string theory, which it doesn't achieve anything. But it's there if you want to get into that. Sometimes it's good to understand, like the Great Master says, that when you're coming from the East, the key is understanding and acceptance and observation, then experience. You come to the West, it's questioning, analysing, and local deduction. And this is why you have the Q&As. Because we can't surrender, we can't accept. What we do accept, like he said, is nothing like that. That's why I say, never form an opinion. Have an opinion, don't form it, because then you're stuck. Every day is a new day. The seasons are rolling. There's only the moment of now. But of course, we're in time and space, what we call the car. But there's no time and space, is there? That's one of our biggest dilemmas. So let's have a look at this. It creates itself from the illusion. That is something separate from the Lord. There is nothing wrong with the ego as such as Mirdad says. If you read the book of Mirdad, this is where this is from. So I said, it's not a punishment, it's duality. These are the two opposites. Right, wrong, should not, hot, cold, day, night. Nothing wrong, he says, but a process inherent in the nature of unity and necessary for the unfolding of its divinity. This is why we have a human form, is to experience the divine, the divinity. This is the only purpose. Call it self-realization. How childish to think otherwise, Mirdad says. So it is an evolutionary stage of our soul's journey to identify with the ego and then be released from the ego, this prison, by the Master's love and grace. That's why I say, don't form an opinion, this is right, this is wrong, should not. Stay open. Clear thinking, 96%, as Siddhar Bahadur says. Clear thinking on this side. Clear the thinking on the inner through Bhajan and Simran. Recreate. Get rid. So you work in two sides, but it's the understanding. First you're clear on your concepts, your beliefs and so on. There's only the Simran and Bhajan anyway at the end of the day. Through the Master's love and grace. So the performance on the stage or in the movie house is real enough while we watch it and we identify it. This is the movie, isn't it? The show of life. But switch on the house lights and we see the stage set for what it is. The puppeteer finishes the show, he puts the puppets back in the bag, says Guru Nanak. Never form an opinion by what you've heard, even by the Satguru. As Swamiji says, unless I see with my own eyes, I will not believe anything, even if it's said by the Satguru. Because he can say anything. But it's not our experience, is it? Because his belief is his experience. Ours is just a belief. It's not good enough for me. That's for sure. That's what creates the illusion. That's what creates the desire to move on. The willingness. The intention. That desire. That true desire comes from the soul. The outer desire is from the mind, which takes you down into this creation. You see, he's always working from two sides. It depends on your perspective. If you stay open and you put your objective in front of you, you haven't got a problem. Because you work towards that objective. That's why he says burn the books. Get rid of the tapes. Why do you think he says these things? So if you're locked in it like this, you're not going to move very far. So in this life, this drama, this movie, that's all it is, a movie show. Some say that God's consciousness doesn't even know evil, because they can't explain why a God who is good allows robberies, murders, disease, poverty. Look at it today. You've got one power. What's going on in Russia? This is just a way of thinking for you. one power, it can stop the war, it can carry on. But look at all the individual choices that people have had to make. Same as the P&O ferry guys, 800 in 35 seconds, they got made redundant. 35 seconds. All the choices. But what does Babaji tell us? What is your choice? We have all these choices, but which choice are we going to make? This is what it's all about. But unpinned is very difficult, because he tells us we have to learn. Because we're a sentient being that is just came in from the wheel of 84, with a reptilian brain and a mammalian brain. We're a mammal. That's why he says you're childlike, with animal instincts. So we're a very young species on the wheel. This is why we have the golden age, silver, copper, iron. Accept you're in the iron age. Work from the iron age. He's come to this level. He's given us the mantra. That's all there is to do. Everything else is done, because he's initiated himself. He has to initiate himself for us to move out. It's his consciousness that's going to lift it all. It's not my consciousness. I don't exist. Of course, that's another concept for me. But from his perspective, there's only the one being one. There's no separation. There's no, I'm applying for initiation, you're initiated, I'm a Satsanga, you're a seeker, la-di-da-di-da, no. Like he says, he loves all his children equally. Be arrogant of me to say this is the only way, or all roads lead to Rome. This is just the quickest way. It's not the easiest, that's for sure, but it's the quickest, as Zor used to say. So why does the Lord create all this turmoil that's going on today? The terrible happenings are coming as constantly on this earth, and yet evil pervades and provides us the contrast that enables us to recognize and experience goodness. You see, if we didn't have hot, how would you know cold? If you didn't have adversity, how would you know about his grace? He even had to be, if there was to be any creation, and if you wrote a message with white chalk on a white board, no one would see it, would they? The pure Shabbat that comes from the screen onto the face of this mind, on this consciousness, this is a projection. That's all it is. But again, that is a concept to us. It should encourage us to look for that reality, the truth. And this is why we're initiated. You can't look for the truth, you can only be the truth. So when you're doing something, what are you being? Are you being sincere? Are you trying to be one-pointed? Only the sincerity and the effort that is needed, but it's the understanding that has to come first. But that will come from sitting in bhajan and simran. Intellectually, you get an understanding, but you can't access the consciousness by intellect. It's like having an IQ of 140 or 50. You're born with an IQ. You can't produce an IQ by studying and learning from the intellect. Like a musician, you're either a musician or you learn to play a particular instrument. You're born a musician. And same with a lot of other techniques that are going on in the world. That's why some make it, some don't make it. Some find it dead easy and some find it extremely difficult. So there is another angle about this duality or good and evil that we shall explain. If you've got a movie producer, made movies only of the goodness of this world and showed them in the movie theatre morning, noon and night, everybody would sooner, what's going on here? He'd be out of business, wouldn't he? You've got to have the diversity. You've got to have the opposites here. The pain, the pleasure. The hot, the cold, to experience. And this is what the spiritual path is all about. Once you become receptive to the grace, then there's a taste of that, isn't there? There's a feeling. That feeling will come from the soul, not the mind. The mind can never be one-pointed. It can never be single. That's why nobody can take to budging for the sake of budging. Our Grey Master says. Maybe one in a million, maybe one in many millions, but they always become a saint. We cannot focus because the mind's always two. So to have that appreciation, we have to have the opposite. It's the appreciation of what He has given to us. And that will spur us on because there's a taste of that. And that can only be experienced. It cannot be talked about. So as Babaji says, that life would be extremely boring if we were good all the time. So the producer has to produce variety in order to attract the people's attention. Suffering, like he says, is the medicine. Pleasure is the pain, isn't it? From his point of view. So the bad man makes the hero look so much better, and we like the plots, they're filled with action, and we don't mind looking at exciting movies about danger, disaster, because we know that they're just movies. This is life. Nobody suffers. But do we actually experience that? I don't think so. So life is a cosmic movie projected within the screen of our consciousness. The masters look at the Shabad, the light which is projecting these scenes on the screen of the mind, on the face, on the tablet of the mind, and see the pictures of the whole universe coming and going. As Azur says, this body is like a dream, and when the body itself is unreal, then all things of this world are unreal. Nam alone is true. Hold fast to Nam. It's saying the same thing. So we're sitting in a movie theatre, watching a movie on a screen. And if you looked into the projection booth behind, this is what we're trying to do, is get to that point there where everything is already happening. That has already happened and already will happen. You would see the projectionist was not interested at all in the movie. That is the creator, the Satguru, because he has seen it over and over and over again, the same movie. So the thing is, it's not only that he's telling us to learn, because we're very young sentient beings, we're babies. This side, in meditation, is remembrance that we've done all this before. So, do you want to learn or do you want to remember? That is your choice. And if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, that's probably the definition of insanity, isn't it? You're expecting a different result. So everything is moving you towards what He has given to us. So the projector was doing its job. There was the sound, the beam of light, was casting realistic images on the screen of the mind, and there was the audience caught up in the drama. That's you and I. And everything else is going on in Ukraine. From age to age, from civilization to civilization, the same old movies are shown over and over again. Only with different characters playing the parts. That is you and I. We've done it all before. The problem is we haven't woke up. So He keeps playing it again until we do wake up. Now we have a chance to wake up. But remember, there's only the one. There's no separation. So the waking up is what you are doing when you're being, or what are you being when you're doing. What is more important is what you're being whilst you are doing something. Do you know it's an illusion? Do you know it's just a movie? Do you know what is important? What isn't important? What choices you're going to make? As your destiny brings you to a particular point. What choice would I make now? So let's just have a quick look at this. Choices. How often do we hear what Babaji often says? What choices are you going to make now? And this is what it's all about. The choices. So the future is assured. This is what he says, doesn't he? He tells us. The day I initiated you, you're already in Satsang. I should think so, because there's only one being one. There's nothing separated from the one. But which future you experience is up to you and I. This is very important. There is a future that you are creating and experiencing based on the choices and actions that you take. Because remember, everything has already happened. So what choice are you going to make? It's like playing a game of chess, as I used to say. The saint, when he's playing a game of chess, his checkmate, he throws his hands up in laughter. But we, on the other hand, he says, we think we've got 1,000 more moves to make. Just that one decision, one choice. This is why we're here, this is why we're on the path, to make that one simple choice. You take your problems into meditation. Not that you're going to dwell on them anyway, but what you're going to do, you're going to take them, because when you need him the most, we try and solve it from this side, don't we? From the intellect. Well, I can do that. I can get a mate to help me with this, and this. Or I'm in some sort of a financial problem. When you need him the most, attend to Bhajan and Simran. It's a different way of thinking, it's a different attitude, because you're open. You're open to the grace of your Sat Guru, because he's within you anyway. He's making these choices for you. It's already written, it's already happened. You just got to wake up, as I say, and smell the coffee, or see the wood for the trees. These talks are only there to remind us, like Azor said, all the teachings, all the scriptures, the parables, the storytelling, which we take literally, he said, are only there to induce you to attend to meditation. That's all. He's talking to children. We like stories. But we take them literally, don't we? So life will never end because life has no beginning and no end. It's eternal. I have given you eternal life. But we can only experience in our present state of consciousness only one life at a time. It's understanding that. Forget all the fluffy stuff that's above it. We've got this one life. What are we going to do with it? What choices are we going to make? This is why we're here today. So because we have placed ourselves with a body inside of space and time, which is what we call the car, perceiving and moving in a very limited direction of which the body is capable, yet our body is not who we are, but something that we have. So what is the agenda of the soul? The agenda of the soul is to experience itself, experience divinity, which it already is. So space and time are not two different things, but one unified element of the universe, because there is only the one. We're in this separation. So that everything that's ever happened is happening now and ever will happen and is happening right now, the only moment of now. So the question then arises, how can we ever change things if everything has already happened? You may ask. If everything has already happened, we couldn't change the future, could we? But the answer, we could change the future that you and I are living now, and all of those that are living with us with that experience. Now there's a lot more going on by making certain choices, but because we've run out of time, what choices are you going to make? And what the Master accepts, like he said, I'll accept Bhajan and Simran, meditation. He's not interested in the rest, because the Savour is for you, the Satsang is for you. Meditation is what we are.